why you're learning those things. Let's look at Knowles' fourth assumption, which is there is a change in time perspective as people mature from future application of knowledge to immediacy of application. Thus, an adult is more problem-centered than subject-centered in learning. This is a little bit of overlap of a couple of the previous assumptions, and again, it simply means that what do I need to learn right now that I can apply either right now or very quickly as related to my job duties, my functions, or other aspects of my life. Adults are pretty busy. They have their home, their life, their work, their children, their job, other activities, and they really need to know, why am I spending this time to learn this information? Does it have a real application for me? So they have that immediacy to know that, hey, I need to be able to apply this pretty quickly to some situation in my life, more especially work in most cases. So they're more subject-centered in their learning versus general learning. Knowles' fifth assumption is that the most potent motivations are internal rather than external. And just to translate this a little bit and give you an example of what this means is, people accomplish things in life, but they have different meanings. They have dual meanings. There are some internal motivations and some external motivations. For example, an individual may receive a promotion. They may go to college and get a degree to receive a promotion. At work, they may get promoted to supervisor, vice president, or some other title. At work, outwardly, this means that others recognize them as an authority figure. They receive a title, they may receive an office, or other recognition that comes with that. However, there are some internal motivations that go along with that. They have accomplished the goal that they set out to accomplish, especially if it was a long-term goal, having no college at all and achieving a degree that's taking years to accomplish. They may be the first one in their family to accomplish a goal, which is setting a precedence for your family. Or that individual may be dealing with a learning disability, and they've overcome that by accomplishing that degree. So all those things are internal motivations. So Knowles felt that internal motivations were more potent than the external motivations, things that others could see. So things that you internalize yourself as the adult learner were more potent. Looking at Knowles' sixth and final assumption, Knowles felt that adults need to know why they need to learn something, and that's very important, and I feel this is very true. Adults need to know, why am I learning this? Again, we find a little bit of overlap with the other assumptions, in that the adults need to know why. I'm a very busy person, I have things to do. Why am I learning this? Is there an application to my job, to promotion, to other things in my life where I'm going to apply this, or is this a waste of my time? So adults have that motivation of needing to know, why am I learning this? So that's very important. What I need you to do right now is grab handout number 2. Handout number 2 is going to be your comparison chart. We've created this comparison chart for you. Look at the comparison chart, and there's some things we like to address on the comparison chart of andragogy versus pedagogy. And this is a very handy chart because it's going to give you an overview of some of the main differences and the focuses of learning as a child and learning as an adult. I'm going to let you take the time to read over these on your own. However, I do want to highlight the different aspects of the comparison of the two concepts, andragogy and pedagogy. There's, of course, differences in the concept of the learner. You can look at the differences between those two. The role of the teacher has a very important role in both andragogy and pedagogy. They have different roles that they have to fulfill. Of course, it's not the same. The teacher does not teach the child the same as they teach the adult, so that's something the teacher or the educator has to look at. The role of the learner in the experience, is going to be quite different from a child learning and an adult learning. Second is going to be the primary technique of delivery. How are you delivering this information to children versus how are you delivering this information to adults? Right now, I'm delivering this to you in an electronic mode, which might be for an adult. For children, we'd be delivering this in person, but adults have the ability to look at this differently. Next is a readiness to learn, and this is very important because children are more compelled to learn. They have to attend elementary school, they have to attend junior high school, they have to attend high school. They have to be there. They're compelled to learn. They don't really have a choice in the matter. Adults, however, have completed all those requirements. So learning beyond high school really is a voluntary thing in most cases. Of course, there are employer mandates that you require a certain degree or certification in order to obtain or maintain employment. However, again, it is voluntary if that person decides to pursue that or not. They can choose other employment options that don't have that requirement. So that readiness to learn is also something that is a big difference between andragogy and pedagogy. And next, how learning should be organized. So how learning should be organized, again, goes into how you're going to set up training, education, or learning aspects for an adult versus for a child. And an orientation to learning, again, our orientation to learning is different for children and adults. They have a different theoretical perspective or a different perspective looking at how learning is occurring, why it's occurring, why are they there. And finally, the organization of the curriculum, which goes back to educators, teachers, administrators on how that organization of the education is going to be organized and conducted. So look at the table and that will give you a great comparison of andragogy versus pedagogy. So just in a real quick snapshot, we're going to look at some of the implications and relevance of Knowles' assumptions of adult learning in today's world. He gave us these 6 theories, but what is the relevance of them? Do they have any real-world applications? So let's look at those really quickly. And in today's world, that adult learning must be relevant to the adult learner. Again, it must have some meaning, some purpose. Why am I learning this? So it must have some practical application. B, is engaging to the adult. Can't be boring, can't be mundane. There must be some interactivity. There must, again, be some goal and some purpose for that learning for the participant. C, it's active learning. It's not just memorization. It's not just learning, and it actually simulates the scenario. If I'm going to be learning how to fly an airplane, of course I'm going to be placed into an environment where it simulates me flying an airplane. So I'm going to be placed in a simulator, which pretty quickly simulates the learning environment, or excuse me, the actual environment in which I'll be flying an airplane. So with today's technology, that's very possible to simulate the actual environment for adults. So that's something that's very relevant. And it's also learner-centered. That means it's based on the actual needs of the adult learners. Again, that immediate relevancy. Why? What is the purpose? How can I apply this? So it's very learner-centered. And finally, it can be measured independently. It has outcomes. There are things that are going to be an outcome. We talked about internal and external motivations. So we see a young lady that's graduated. That graduation not only means I'm graduating, I have a degree, it means there are opportunities available for me. I am now more marketable, I'm attracted to an employer. It can lead to a career, a job or career, income, job satisfaction, career goals and aspirations that are being achieved and accomplished. So there are many independent outcomes that can be measured as a part of that. I'm going to take the time right now to let you read on your own. You can pause the video if you choose and read the 3 other learning theories of adult learning theory. There are other adult learning theories, however, we've selected 3 that are heavy contributors to adult learning concepts. And the first one is going to be McCluskey's theory of margin. I'll let you read that. In a nutshell, McCluskey's theory of margin was first presented in 1963 and actually predates andragogy. It came about 5 years before Malcolm Knowles' concept of andragogy. So I'll let you take the time to read over McCluskey's theory of margin and how that relates to adult learning concepts. Next, we'll look at Alaris's 3 dimensions of learning model. Under Alaris's 3 dimensions of learning model, he's most interested in the learning process itself. So again, you can take the time to read over Alaris's learning process or learning 3 dimensions of learning model and how it focuses on the learning process itself. And finally, we'll look at Jarvis's learning process. This model begins with an adult's life situation